Alrighty, here we are once again, 7:30. Now it's 31 minutes past 7 a.m. It's the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. Ayokunmi here with you on a Wednesday morning. And it's that time to take a step into the major headlines in the papers across Nigeria. Freshly Pressed is what you are listening to. Welcome into another interactive session. So get ready to send your messages to us, your thoughts, your opinions. We look forward to always hearing from you. WhatsApp is how you get to do that. 0809 444 0981 is the WhatsApp number. YouTube is also right there for you. If you'd love to join us on the live stream, Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Alrighty, you know it's a Wednesday, and that means I have two fine gentlemen joining me on the show in the persons of Lakunle Yusuf and, of course, Devoe Okorie. Lakunle, good morning to you.
Good morning. I hope I'm good.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly, Lakunle. Welcome.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Devoe. Good morning, everyone. My apologies for missing out last week. It is the okay of Ado that did not allow us to see the okay of Are, as they say in our village. And I'm back, and let's have a good show.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back, Lakunle. Devoe, good morning.
Morning, world. Morning, Lagos. Lakunle AY. Cool. Budgets. We get wahala.
Budget we get wahala. In fact, Devoe, that is where we are planting our flag. First of all, stepping into the vanguard because we need to talk about this one. Now, the federal government is extending the lifespan of its 2024 budget by another 6 months, a development which has consolidated its culture of running multiple budgets in a single fiscal year. Now, the development also indicates that the efforts of the House of Representatives since 2024 to curb this practice may have failed. And the Senate began the legislative process of extending the implementation timeline yesterday for the capital component of the 2024 national budget of 13.1 trillion naira, this time until 31st of December 2025. Devoe, why are we still falling into this trap of running multiple budgets within a year? This is definitely not good practice, is it? Are you there, Devoe? Oh dear.
Okay, so while we wait for him, let me just chip
One.
in a little bit. Okay, he's back.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now, Devoe.
Okay, I said this was bad budgetary performance. Since these budgets have been passed since 2021, administration to administration, they've been falling. Their deficit budgets, first of all, meaning the National Assembly will pass the expenditure side, what they intend to spend, and then the revenue side, how they intend to make the money. And whereby if the revenue that comes from oil and gas and then CIT, that's taxes, duties, does not add up to what they plan to spend, they will borrow the difference. Okay. Now, so what has been happening is year on year, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, Devoe. We can hear you.
Yeah, so year on year, the country is never able to meet up to its revenue position, meaning they're not able to raise all the funds that they want to expend. So those projects or the items that fall under some of the items on the budget, especially the capital budget, which is where infrastructure lies, usually gets undone. Okay. So when they move into a new year, after they pass a new budget, they realize that, hey, we didn't complete all the projects because we were not funded. Can we leave that budget open? Because ideally they should close it so that you can't take money from there again. But they leave it open. And I think as of last year, I think this year they have two budgets running, 2025 and 2024. Last year, with the president coming in, they had 2022, 2023, and 2024 all running in 1 year. This is complete bad budgetary. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, this is completely bad budgetary performance. So they were discussing this in the National Assembly, especially the House of Reps, and saying they would need to hear from the Ministry of Finance as to why projects have gone unfunded. And also, beyond closing these budgets, the question is, are we living above our means? That's the vital question that needs to be answered. And I mean, from history, we know we have been, okay? And the triple budget or the double budget in 1 year are evidence to that. So can government scale down? Like, for example, when they realized oil pricing was going down due to the Iraq, sorry, not the Iraq war, the Ukraine, Russia, and the Israel-Gaza war, um, they had to reduce the budget from 55 trillion back to around 47. So the point now is, in that period, oil was selling at about oil dropped to about 65 for a few months now, which was below budget benchmark of 75. So the question you ask is, even though it has gone back up because of the Iran, Israel skirmish, the point is, we are putting things on the agenda that are way beyond our capacity to fund them. So this is why we always tell people to hold your leaders accountable in terms of revenue generation, not by taxing people, but by what are the policies you're putting in place to pull investment into the country. What policies are you putting in place? Maybe are you selling some things in government to also raise money for government to be able to put into productive activity like infrastructure? There's so many ways
Right.
to kill a cat. There's so many ways to raise money. We can't continue just creating budgets that at the end of the day we're not able to deliver. And this is where the promises, the bulk of the promises of this administration are held at. Now, this is at federal level. We've not even heard at state level whether the states too are also able to fund their budgets. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yes, indeed, that's a conversation for another day. And it's so interesting that one of the things surrounding this particular story was how quickly this whole thing got through. Very, very quickly, pam, 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 back to back, first reading and so on and so forth. Everything was just so very quick, and it's amazing to see that things that that you would say are beneficial to them are dealt with very swiftly, while other things are dealt with at such a slow speed, and you just wonder why at the end of the day.
Can I just make a contribution here?
All right, Lakunle.
So it's an indication of the fact that we don't have money. We're not a rich country. We don't have loose cash. We don't have money. We're not meeting up with the budget we are making. So as Devoe said, we are living above our means. So you see at some point when some money comes in, you see that rush, fiam, 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 money goes out. But in fairness to government, I think there is a provision in the Constitution, I'm not very certain, that allows this to happen. Because if you say that, okay, because the budgetary year has passed and those things have been earmarked to be done, and they were not done because there was no money to do them, it means then that you will go back sometime in the future to start all over again. And then what happened to the contractor, for example, that you have given the contractor that has started work that you have not paid? So there will be a bit of complexity in how this thing works. So then you have the argument of people who say that we must learn to live within our means. But is our means enough to take care of the volume of demand of our needs, not even our wants now? So there needs to be some kind of a balance at these things. That is where it goes back to the Senate itself to correct itself, to ensure that in the minimum, no budget of a previous year runs beyond 6 months of the subsequent year.
Ideally, that's how it should be. And we are the 6 month mark of 2025. But hey, here we are, rinse and repeats, going back to bad habits that even the Senate and Co have been trying to actually curb, but we keep watching. All right, Devoe, let's take this walk into the punch right now. Let's just do this back to back. You referenced the Iran-Israel conflict, and let's talk about how that is affecting us here now as the conflict between Iran and Israel continues to disrupt global oil markets. Fuel marketers have urged the federal government to implement urgent measures to prevent petrol and diesel prices from becoming unaffordable for Nigerians. Now, although crude oil prices dropped below $70 per barrel on Tuesday, the recent sharp rises in their costs, driven by tensions in the Middle East, had already begun to reflect in the domestic market. Now, of course, we've seen the price increase in petrol already. It's above 900 right now, and we don't know where exactly it's going to end up. But Devoe, is there really much that the government can actually do to stem the tide? Because we know that the more expensive it becomes, the more difficult things will get for Nigerians.
Yes, I'm just trying to first comment. The marketers are trying to act angelic in this situation. It's these same marketers that don't want the Dangote refinery to work. That's an aside comment. But the point is, this is what we've always told people about the oil and gas market, okay? Especially crude oil, which Nigeria makes its biggest earnings on. It has a direct line with international activity, okay? So, um, in one way, it's a two-edged sword. When crude oil price went as low as $65, everybody enjoyed the price cuts at the pump, okay?
Mm.
Because if crude is cheaper, that means the cost for refined product like PMS, AGO, naphtha, gas, etc., and coal will fall. Now, if crude goes up, like it's done, it's risen from 66 to about $80 in this short period because of the Iraq shakeup.
Iran, Israel.
Um, Iran-Israel shakeup. Um, you will also experience higher prices at the pump. So I think it took them like a week or two before they took the price up. So pump prices have moved from about 850 averagely to about 900, in some places 950. So there, and if it keeps going higher, it will approach 1,000 naira and above. So the marketers are saying, and I call it a cry of a baby that should have grown up. Back in the day, we used to provide subsidy. So what would have happened was government would have bridged the cost to ensure that it remains at maybe 850 at your pump. But we know that, like I told you, these marketers are acting like angels now. These were the same marketers who were using this opportunity to guzzle Nigeria's money, and we never knew the amounts of petroleum that they were bringing in or not bringing in. Yet they were still collecting money. AY, can you remember when there was a
Mm.
big fracas in the National Assembly when they were asking the customs head how much uh, petrol do we distribute daily? And because they had put the figure of subsidy at about 100 million liters per month, and the customs head then in the Buhari administration told them that 100 million liters means like that 2,000 trucks will leave Apapa port daily. And he said it's not possible that 2,000 trucks
Exactly.
leave Apapa daily. And they came back and said, it's not on a daily basis, like a monthly average. The wayo that we had not seen, the English and the grammar that we had not heard, NMPC was explaining away. But you see, in a situation like this is why, first of all, you must be grateful. And I have to use that word. You must be grateful that a Dangote invested his money, even though with government support, to build a local refinery. Now, what does that mean? Quickly, if as a crude producing nation, okay, if people in the world begin to fight and pull their hair apart and oil price surges to $100, we can supply our own local refineries crude so that they can maintain that, that low pricing that's not affected by importation. Unfortunately, and this is tied to the first story, in trying to raise money for Nigeria, this government has mortgaged a lot of our daily crude to the extent that even the Naira for Crude program that Dangote has hailed, they're not even able to give him the 350,000 liters per day.
They're
He
just
gets averagely
they're
like
just easing enough
70, 80.
supply.
Yes. So this is where the problem lies. Government needs to ramp up to meet up with what the marketers has asked for. No more subsidy. There's no money anywhere to subsidize. The point is ramp up local production. So you have enough to mortgage. You also have enough to supply your local refiners crude so
Right.
that in a time like this, they can still maintain the same price and nobody will shout. Until that time, Dangote himself is still importing the bulk of his crude from outside. So that's why the pricing has to go up. Thank you very much. I rest my
Can I
case.
also add
Thank you,
to
Devoe.
this?
All right, Lakunle, very quick. Yeah, quickly, Lakunle.
So again, I know sometime in the past, I think it was during the Babangida era or just before that, or Baraza Shagari's 1979-23 period, there was a statutory 400,000 barrels per day reserved for local consumption. It is not part of our whether 1.1, 1.6, 2.1, 2.3 that is for the international market. It is reserved for local consumption. It is part of the negotiation with the IOCs. Look, no matter what you do, give me 400,000 barrels per day for NNPC for local consumption. Anything else you can sell. Is that thing still in force? Nobody is speaking to that number. Is Nigeria's capacity to mine oil limited to 2.1 million liters per day? Can we do more? Nobody is answering that question. The ones that we are saying are being stolen, who are the people stealing them? So
We're
when
still
you look
asking.
at these three things, within these three things, right, we will be able to find a balance such that what Devoe referred to as naira for whatever, we can have local consumption. I saw a video just 2 or 3 days ago about Iran. Even when they're in a state of war, their diesel production, they practically dash it away, right? They're in a war, but their diesel is still being sold cheapest in the whole world. What's the benefit Nigerians are getting from being oil producers? I think we should be thinking about these questions so that we can then begin to identify what we need to do. NNPC refineries are not working. Okay, so the 400,000 barrels per day, why can't they be given to Dangote and then we are locally refining because he has the capacity to refine all the 400,000 per day? And then we can then distribute locally. But of course, the marketers themselves, who are the ones who didn't want the refinery to work, who will go there and take it and attempt to carry it to neighboring countries to go and sell at higher prices. So we can't blame government all the time for all of these things. How about us ourselves? There are too many loose ends that we need to tie up. And those are the things that we need to look at.
All right. Thank you, Lakunle, for sharing your perspective on the story. This is Ajayi Olonilua and Magodo Jerry Sherry. He says, but when will the 2025 budget take off if the 2024 budget is extended to the end of December 2025? It's another proof of government incompetence and avenue for fraudulent activities to run multiple budgets in one fiscal year. Fabian Inekwe says, I beg to disagree with your analyst that we don't have money. I would rather say that we don't prioritize what our money is used for. When you consider the allocations on frivolous expenditure and inflation of the budget, which repeatedly occurs, we get this imbroglio. The country urgently needs accountability with a focus on the basic needs of its citizens.
I
Yes,
agree
indeed.
with him. I agree with you to the extent that the monies he's talking about are borrowed. We borrow all those monies that are then frittered away. Those are not monies we earn. And that's why we are selling our crude into the future.
Problem, another problem. All right, Lakunle, let's take a walk into the punch here and let's give an update concerning Benue and Plateau State. The Inspector General of Police, that's Kayode Egbetokun, said no fewer than 53 suspects have been arrested in connection with the recent wave of deadly attacks in Benue and Plateau states that claimed dozens of lives and left several others injured or displaced. Now, addressing journalists in Abuja on Tuesday, Egbetokun described the June 13 massacre in Yelwata community in Benue State as a coordinated attack of terror. He also said 26 were arrested for the attack in Yelwata and 22 suspects in connection with the Plateau attacks and another 5 in Benue for a more recent attack. All right, what are your thoughts on this? You know, arrests have been made, but this definitely will go beyond arrest being made because you can arrest anyone, but are you arresting the right people? And if yes, what's going to happen to them at the end of the day?
So sometimes, like it is generally said all over the world, prevention is better than cure. It is
Right.
painful that most of the time we react to crime. We're not proactive about crime. And there was a debate on social media yesterday that I came across that said that there was knowledge that that attack in that local government in Benue, the Yele water one, was going to happen, right? And there was a communique from, there was a letter from DSS. I assume that if it is true, so it means that there is a knowledge that that thing was going to happen. How did we react to it? And then this underscores the usual question: what is the value of the Nigerian life? Because if you hear as law enforcement that that crime of that magnitude is going to happen, what did you do to prevent it? You waited for it to happen and you arrest people. Like you said, I hope that it is the right people that have been arrested. I hope that it's not that we've just gone and picked random people because of the pressure on the police to perform. And I hope that if they were the suspects, as they are called now, they will face proper trial and the case will be established against them that they were actually perpetrators. And if this is done, they will be brought to justice. Of course, it's not going to bring back the lost lives, the properties, the destruction, and the trauma and pain it has caused the rest of us. And of course, the bad
Definitely.
name it has given our country. It's not going to change all of those things. But I hope that they will be brought to justice if that is the case, and the punishment will be commensurate and swift so that it will serve as a deterrent to other people. This again is another call for everybody who has the power to act. The Police Service Commission, Mr. President, the IG, the governors. We have done policing the same way since 1914. It doesn't appear to be working. Motivational speakers will say that you can't be doing the same thing the same way every time and expect a different result. Isn't it high time we started thinking about changing our policing system? If we're not changing, we have only 350,000 police personnel. A third of them, according to every senior police officer that they've confirmed over time, are doing a VIP service. That means we have less than 200,000 policemen serving 200 million people if we are already truly 200 million people. Isn't it time that we increase that number? We have able-bodied men and women in this country who don't have jobs today, who we can recruit into the police system. The ones that are there, what is the training we have given them?
But then,
What is the
Lakunle,
life assurance
but then,
we've given them? And
Lakunle,
so on and so on.
we say that we have people we can recruit into the police system, but is the police force attractive enough for anyone to say, I want to
That
join
is
the
part of
service?
the not doing the same thing the same way every time. We need to start changing, thinking, or acting on how to make our policing different. We have done this thing like this since 1914. Central Police System, Central Command, Divisional Police Headquarter, this, that. Aren't we thinking the local government chairman doesn't have power over police? The governor doesn't have power over police. A crime happens in the state, everybody says it's the chief security of the state. I mean, I don't know. People have argued for state police. Everybody is arguing on the demerits of having state police. But the current one we have, it has its own demerits as well. There's nothing that has an advantage that does not have a disadvantage. We need to think different how we do our policing. It is not the job of the Army, Navy, Air Force to be doing internal security. They are overwhelmed already as well. So, however, I don't envy the IGP. I don't envy the next IGP as well. I don't even envy the next 5 IGPs. Because this situation, if it remains the same, these same things we will have over and over again. Nigeria has a large swath of 100% ungoverned landmass. You can travel between 2 communities in Nigeria and not see any form of law enforcement. That needs to change. If we don't change that, it's going to be difficult to cope and curb all these kind of attacks and criminal activities that happens all over the place.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. A lot has been said this morning on this issue. JJ from Ekwe also wants to weigh in. JJ says, we are not proactive to crime. Our law enforcement agencies seem to get information about these things and don't act on it. But when it is protest, we'll file out our men in black in all their colors. We are doing ourselves. Let's continue. Okay. This is Peter in First Like Peter says, since 2015, the APC has not given Nigerians account of NNPC revenue generation. Rather, the Senate has revealed a whopping 200 plus trillion naira unaccounted. What are we doing? People should be in jail rather than walking freely. We are joking. Since I was born till date, I never benefited anything from the Nigerian government. A captain served for 30 years and retired with 15. Is that 15 million or 1.5? Is that 15 you meant to say? Million naira benefits, and you expect me to join the armed forces? I think you mean 1.5. I'm not sure it's 15 that
Uh,
you actually referred to. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly.
that assertion that NNPC has not done its reports may not be true. Just as recent as last month, they released their, is it quarterly or last year's report? It was all over the social media. I think they released the one for last year as well. Whether the numbers inside it is correct or not is a different thing, but that they don't do their reporting, they have done it consistently for the last 3 years that I am aware. So we may not be we need to then look at those figures. We can now agree and disagree with the figures that are inside it, but that they've done their reporting. They have.
All right, Lakunle, let's quickly still stay in the Punch newspaper and take this before I take the rest of the messages. Bringing things back to Lagos here, where the Lagos State government has urged property owners to give their buildings a facelift to enhance what they call the aesthetics of the state. Now, this is contained in a statement by the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development. That's Oluyinka Olumide. The statement was issued by the agency's Director of Public Affairs, that's Mukaila Sanusi, on Tuesday in Lagos. Now, Olumide said property owners, especially those on highways, should undertake the needed facelift of their buildings. Can you just run through this one quickly for us?
So in my mind, when I first saw this report, the first thing that came to my mind, permit me, I'm going to say it in Yoruba and I'll try to transliterate it to English. In my village, you say that Bolo di Oku, Ode Ole Ukoriko. It means that if the owner of a property has not died, it is highly unlikely that the courtyard will be overgrown with weed, right? So this is more like an appeal from Lagos State government. But let's ask ourselves, there is a town planning law in our state. Are we enforcing it? Are property owners aware of the do's and don'ts that are contained in that law? And do they know how it affects them? There is no ignorance in law. Maybe what I see Lagos State government do with this is a public service announcement. People need to take care of their property. You cannot have a property. Let's even start with all those property we have all over the place that have been built and are locked up and there are no occupants in them. What does the law say about such property or such properties? Let us look at places where you are talking about the highways, the major roads. Are the roads good enough that if I paint my building today, I'm not needing to paint it again next week because of the dust that is on the road, that because the road is bad and it is dusty? And that is no fault of mine that I'm not painting it every time because it gets dirty easily because of the dust. So as the Lagos State government is demanding of people, Lagos government should also be up to its own responsibility. One, we have done public service announcement now. Let's do our own part. We have cleared the road of dirt. We have cleared the walkways on the road of makeshift shops and structures. We have cleared all the under the bridges of miscreants and all of that. Now do your own part. Make the thing beautiful. And I think that it's a good one that we are having this conversation. Let everybody know their part of what they need to do.
All right, luckily, let me run through the messages that have lined up before we wrap up on the show. This is Tony Marine Beat says, it's sad that at the age in our national life, we've remained at that point where any man like Trump out there shouts fight and it automatically affects our economy. And when he says ceasefire, it automatically reverses like a child on remote control. Who did this to us? For goodness sake. The for goodness sake part was said in Yoruba. I had to translate that into English. This is
They want fishy
Abayomi.
one.
Abayomi says, a person was arrested for $7.2 billion meant for the Port Harcourt refinery. True, we talked about that on Monday, if I remember. The loudest critics today, those shouting the most about our refineries, are the same marketers who benefited for years from a broken system. Their real grievance isn't about inefficiency or concern for the public. It's the fact that with functional refineries, the era of subsidy profits and opaque dealings is fading away. True. They cry foul not because refineries are failing, but because they're finally starting to work, and that threatens their long-enjoyed pipeline of easy gains. Those days need to be put behind us firmly. Oluwaseyi says, and the police said they arrested people, Abi. I laugh in Maori. Well, you know Maori, Oluwaseyi, interesting. So the police didn't know they needed to arrest the people responsible until the president visited Benue some weeks later or more and asked the inspector general to arrest the people responsible. What about the people responsible for killings 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, even years ago as well? All right. Thank you for your message. Let me just take some more. This is Michael. Michael says, what about the bad roads on major roads? If I send you pictures of my road, ball joint shaft killing roads. Roads that are not car worthy, if I can put it that way. Who's talking to me here? This one says, the country doesn't have money, yet $7 billion plus can go missing from just one agency, the NNPC. What happens to money saved from subsidy removal? Spent the money already. The government have sowed this seed in our hearts so they can steal without being noticed. Peter says, Governor Sanwo-Olu joined Soludo in asking property owners to paint their buildings. Let the Lagos State government fix roads, clear dirt, and come to Festac and see how clogged the drains are. And Tokunbo Wahab is not interested on those drains. Yeah, with the people. But you know what? That's not a conversation for this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. We blame government for everything, but we're not doing our part. We're the ones who threw all those debts into those drains that got blocked, not government.
I'm not absolving government for their shortcomings.
Yes,
but,
we will not. But
we need to meet in the
we
middle.
are the initiator of that problem, and we can fix it.
This is Wale. Wale says, this is Wale in Abuja. He says, I feel your pain, Lakunle, and I commend your mental fortitude for even thinking through what seems to be a simple solution. These issues are traceable to the constitution's lopsidedness and will not go away anytime soon. Imagine that we had crude but no refinery. Now we have a refinery and no crude. Take it easy, brother. All right. Ready to call it the voting of the show.
my mental health is really, really, really in danger.
It's paramount. And you know that June is Men's Mental Health Month, Lakunle, so you need to take it very seriously. June
Guys,
is not
please
over.
Check on me because of my mental health.
All right, we need to wrap up the show this morning. Thank you so much for all the messages, and apologies for the ones I could not take time. He's never a friend on the show. And thank you so much, Lakunle, for joining me. Devoe had to leave you a little earlier on, but Lakunle, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Ayo. See you next week.
All right. God willing, we'll have you on the show next week to talk more about these issues. And thank you all once again for being a part of Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. Keep it tuned and don't go anywhere. The Smooth Breakfast will kick on. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Let's enjoy it.